You don't need to write any queries and you can do complex operations. Do complex operations, and it supports queries also. It has like both support, and the biggest benefit is using this module is today we can use one database, and tomorrow when you are jumping into some other database, the changes are very minute. The amount of changes we do in our application to change the database is very minute. In the old approach, right? If you write the queries, so then getting migrated from one database to another database is too complicated. So just give me yes if you are able to hear me. Anshu, Chintesh, Abhi, Jupudi, Sharat, Venkat.
Yes, Sunil, able to hear properly.
Okay. So what's up Saturday morning? That too, like it's long weekend, right?
Yes, Sunil.
Yeah,
Really good.
yeah, long weekend.
So you're supposed to be too much active. The just day started for us, right? Just now, it's like we have 24 into 3, 72 hours of holiday, but some people it's optional holiday. It is like 48 hours to go, right? So non-stop 48 hours. Like for Abhi, it should be like 12 more
I-
hours added. He is in
In lockdown, that's what the thing. Not feeling any change.
Yeah, Sunil. What? It.
So let's come back. It's very important topic with respect to microservices. So very less code. Almost you could say like in Spring JDBC or native JDBC. Native JDBC where you are writing 10 to 20 lines of code, it reduces to like 5 to 6, right? When it is coming to data JPA, you will write mostly 1 or 2 lines of code. Mostly 1 2 lines of code, and you achieve all the functionality whatever you achieved in the JDBC or Spring JDBC. That much beauty it is, and very less code, more functionality. Okay, but as is like again, it's a different module, right? So different project itself. Let's go to Spring. So this is not part of Spring Boot. It's not part of Spring Framework. It's a different project like Spring Data. So there are so many modules are there. In data, there are so many modules. You can connect to MongoDB, right? So we will use this in our reactive programming anyway. You can connect to Redis cache and reactive database, relational database connectivity, Apache Cassandra, Apache GOD, and Apache Couchbase, Elasticsearch, right? So for each and every database, we have submodules, but our intention right now is relational database. So relational databases can be connected in 2 ways. One is the data JDBC. Anyway, we already learned JDBC, so we are not going to focus on Spring Data JDBC. So our intention is data JPA. So JPA is a specification. So implementations are like Hibernate, IBTs, right? So these are all implementations. So data JPA is a kind of specification. So JPA is a specification. So Spring directly work on the JPA directly, right? So let's go to learn, right? So see the versions are little different, right? Spring is 5.0.2. When it is coming to Spring Data JPA, the versions are different. If you go to another flavor, you see a different version. For example, R2DBC, you see the like 1.0.0. Oh, oops, it's good. This is really the latest change. It's like 1 to 2 weeks back they made it as GA. Earlier it was in Snapchat. Right? We know what is Snapchat, what is GA, right? Maven, as part of Maven we learned. So it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in the production. So like this, so each and every module has a different version. So you should be very careful which module you want to use. Right? We are focusing on data JPA. So data JPA we have like latest current available version is 2.3.0. Okay. So it has its own hierarchy, like its own interfaces, its own implementation classes. But most of the things are interfaces. Most of the things are interfaces. And going forward, we will write in our code, right? Like interfaces on, like no implementation, because already the predefined implementation is already available with Spring. So most of the requirements, right, 90 to 80% of the requirements can be done by using Spring already available implementation. So we will write interfaces going forward for our repository. So how we will do that, we will see. Okay. Okay. So the entire package, right? The entire package is going to start with a marker interface, right? The entire package is going to start with a marker interface called a repository, right? So it's a marker interface, so which means it doesn't have any methods, right? So that is the root interface. So here is the flow starts. If any interface which directly or indirectly implements this marker interface, then Spring Boot is going to take care this like in a different way, right? It's in a different way. So why this we have marker interface when we don't have any methods, right? So that is what is the question first should rise in your brain, right? So you must ask yourself when there is no method, when there are no methods, then why we need this interface? What is the use? What is the purpose we are declaring this? Because just to identify, right? Just to identify, just to classify the flow. If any interface or any class which is the child of this repository, just a type repository, then it's going to be handled in a different way, right? So it's going to be handled in a different way. So for that classification purpose, we used to write the marker interface. There is a purpose actually. Without methods, why we need interface? Because we need to classify. We need to classify. So there might be some couple of implementations would be there, right? So I don't check for the implementations. I check only one thing, which is a repository type, which is the repository type. If it is direct or indirect check, it is a direct or indirect check. So overall, it is a repository like in our at least in the Telugu states we have a surname, right? So we have some kind of similarity. For example, mine is like Manaka, which called like Manaka. So my father also will have the same surname. Like my grandpa also has the same surname. My child, my grandchild, right? So it continues. So when you have such a kind of similarity, right? It's into a single category. So the same kind of concept here, right? So when the repository is a kind of surname, so whether it can be a direct or indirect check, right? So it can be a parent or grandfather or child or the current entity or grandchild, right? Maybe in the next generation also. So it is applicable, right? So it's the same concept is applicable. So just to have a different flow, so that's why this marker interface is defined. Okay. So here repository means zero methods, nothing. It is just a simple declaration. Whether it's true or not, let's go and check in the Eclipse. Just do a Control Shift T and type repository. You see, there are no methods, right? There are no methods, right? It's just open close. It is just open close, right? So no methods are there, right? It's a marker interface. So that is so the flow starts from here, but we don't directly use repository. We will use the next chain, right? CRUD repository. So if your intention is purely a CRUD operation. Read, delete, update, create, right? So read, delete, update, create. Create means save. Read means get. Update means put. Delete means delete. HTTP methods, right? Put, get, update, put, get, post, delete. If your intention is only these four operations, then suitable interface is CRUD repository. So let's go inside that CRUD repository. So it's going to have the methods, right? See, it's a whether it checks whether it is available or not. Find by ID, save all, right? Find all by ID, right? Delete by ID, and one good thing with the yeah, delete all, right? So delete all. So there are multiple ways you can delete it. Like you can delete a group, you can delete all, you can delete one. So that's why we have multiple methods, right? But anyway, but when it is coming to update and save, right? Create and update, we have only one method. What is that? Save all. So Spring Data JPA is it's like capable of taking care of two operations by using one method. You just call save method. If data is there, it will update. If data is not there, it will insert. Right? It has only one method called save, but it takes care two operations. What are all those? One is if data is there, it will update. It won't bother you whether you need to go for update or you need to go for insert. So you just call one method. Spring takes care about updating the data, inserting the data. If data is there, it will update. If data is not there, it will insert, right? So if you need some kind of pagination, for example, you have some huge, right? For example, go and log in the Gmail. You see all the mails won't be loaded, right? First 50 mails will be loaded. Then when you go for the next line, right, next page, it loads the next 50. Well, because if database has thousand emails, it doesn't, I mean, it's not required to show all 1,000, right? Just show the first 50, latest 50. If customer wants on demand basis, go to the next page. You go to any e-commerce site, there might be some hundreds of mobiles or hundreds of gadgets, right? They won't show all. They show the highly recommended, right? The which is selling more. They put it first, right? So the same thing. If you go to Netflix or Amazon, they don't show all the movies, right? They show which is got recently introduced and more hits, right? The same thing. So when you have huge data in the database, you don't want to show everything. You want to show a specific part, right? Some page by page, and you want to apply some sorting. Then we use paging and sorting. Paging and sorting. Yes. Okay. Let me drill down from here. So till now we have some straight line, right? No. Third, third repository. The people who are new to Java, they love this a lot. Okay. Yes, and here paging and sorting. Till now we have like straight line because these are common for all implementations, right? This is common for all kinds of databases. Okay, but free from here the actual classification starts, right? From here the actual classification starts. Okay, if you want to connect it to RDBMS, right? RDBMS, only RDBMS, right? With all above features, then use JPA repository. It's purely dedicated for the RDBMS. So what is RDBMS? Like Oracle, MySQL, right? So relational database, right? So if your intention is connecting to some RDBMS, then use JPA repository. If your intention is connecting to some MongoDB, right? Then use Mongo repository. Okay, Mongo repository. If your intention is connecting to Cassandra, then use Cassandra repository. Okay. If your intention is connecting to some Neo4j graph database, right? Then use Neo4j. If your intention is connecting to some Couchbase, right? Some NoSQL DB, right? So then you can connect. So there are different implementations are available. So till now we have a straight line, right? So repository, third repository, paging and sorting. That is common for all. But when you go for a specification, for example, you want to connect it to MongoDB, then use Mongo repository. Then you want to connect it to Cassandra, you have to use Cassandra repository. If it is a relational database like Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server, DB2, right? Like there are so many others like Postgre, HQSQL, right? So all these RDBMSs are going to be supported by JPA repository. So right now we are going to connect it to database like RDBMS, right? MySQL. Then we will use JPA repository. Okay, in the future we will use Mongo repository, but which is not this repository. There is another classification we have here, right? So one more portion will come into the picture, so called reactive repository, right? So which is the child of paging and sorting, I believe. Let me check. it's not available in this jar. It should be available in the um, reactive data API. Let's go to web and search for the syntax, right? So reactive repository string. So reactive CRUD repository, yes. Oh, okay. So yeah, it is starting not at this layer. It is starting at CRUD repository layer itself. Like how we have a CRUD repository, the same way we have a reactive CRUD repository. Right? So we have reactive CRUD repository, so which is a reactive, and this is the child of repository, right? Which is the child of repository. Okay, so why we have a marker interface for this purpose only. So reactive CRUD repository. Again, it's going to have one more child, right? Reactive sorting repository, reactive paging sorting repository, right? So reactive, and again it's going to have one more child, okay? Reactive, no JPA repository, right? So all super interfaces. Yeah. So I think there is some image available. I should go to Google and type reactive Mongo repository, right? Reactive Mongo repository. So this is dedicated for MongoDB. Okay, so this is what we're going to use. Reactive Mongo repository API. Reactive Mongo repository. This is for reactive purpose, right? This is for reactive purpose. Hmm. Okay, this is what we want to use in our code, but it is not now. In the future, what is reactive programming? Why we are going? What is the benefit we want to get? Why all of a sudden world is too much interested about this reactive programming? Right? All these things we will learn first, then we will go and use. Okay, so we will use MongoDB repository. We will connect it to MongoDB, but it's not our. It is not this repository. It's going to be reactive repository, right? So if it is Mongo, then it's better to use React. Okay. So if it is JPA, then we have to use this. So we have some classification here, right? So the root interface is repository. It has two chains. One is the CRUD repository. For JDBC API purpose, we have reactive CRUD repository. That is something new. That is something new, which is not part of Java specifications, at least till 1.8. Okay, and CRUD repository has like paging and sorting. When you want to pagination and sorting, then we go for it. Again, from there, the actual segregation is going to start. If you would like to connect it to RDBML, then we use API repository. Then if you would like to connect it to MongoDB, then Mongo repository. If you would like to connect it to Cassandra, then Cassandra, right? So this is what we are here, right? So JDBC API we are talking. So this left section you have to look at. The right section we will look at later, okay? But still we have that support, right? So maybe in the future, after a couple of days, we will use this. By the time it is useful, this diagram would be useful, okay? So one more thing I would like to tell you, any diagram, if I'm just drawing it, right? If you would like to take reference, just take the book and draw it in your own way. If you take it as this, right? This one, just open some Google Doc or something, just take a print screen and put it on there, right? So it will be useful for you, for your future. Okay.
Yes,
Let's,
I'm making in my book on the notes.
okay.
I, with this, you will also not.
Use it, go digital, use Google Docs.
Yeah.
Okay, just kidding. Okay. Yeah, so look at the methods we have in the CRUD repository, because repository is a marker interface, no methods, right? So this is how it looks like. CRUD repository implements repository, right? So it's pure generic, right? It's pure generic. So always T stands for the entity, right? Entity. So here going forward, so the model structure is going to change, right? So in our Java, right, database a table equivalent structure, we are going to use that. So we call that as entity model, right? Entity model. So this T is equals to one entity. What is that we will look into, right? What is that we will look into it? Look at the methods. Look at the methods save we have, right? To save and update purpose. Both it works for saving and updating. If data is there, it will update. If data is not there, it will insert. So you don't need to worry what operation to be taken care, right? Update, save. So I think in Hibernate we have save and update, save methods, but here we don't have something like that. It is a simple method save. If data is present, it will update. If data is not present, it will insert. So when you call save method, internally it calls select query. If data is there, it will update. If data is not there, it will insert. Okay. Yeah, so we have like find methods, find by ID, find all. So this was prepared little, I mean, this is little old material. So if you go to latest documentation, you see some new methods would be adding it, right? So, but it's like find by ID, find by find also. These are like select queries, right? So when you want to fetch one particular row, then use find by ID. When you want to fetch all the rows, then use find all, right? So you can know how many rows are there in the database by calling count method. You can delete a particular, entity, and you can check whether that row is there or not by using ID, primary key, right? So employee with ID exists or not, like that you can check, right? So these kind of methods are present in the CRUD repository. Mostly CRUD repository talks about these four operators: create, read, update, delete. Create, read, update, delete. Yes, it's almost same. Yeah. Yeah. Next thing is a pagination. It has only two methods. One is a find all with sorting, and another one is find all with pagination. Find all with sorting, and the next one is find all with pagination. Right? Only two methods we have in the uh, paging and sorting report. Paging and sorting report. So next available repository is the JPA, but from here the classification such, right? JPA repository, Mongo repository, Cassandra repository, right? Cassandra repository. Based on the database we are using, we need to identify. We need to use the appropriative repository. Appropriative. So JP has very good methods, right? And it's going to have few more methods added to that. So like we will get some more benefits when you use JP. Okay. Yes. So let's start writing the code. Let's start writing the code. But before that, I would like to tell you one important thing. Right? For example, yeah. So do you remember our mobile service? We hard coded the data that time. No database integration, right? No database integration. So we hard coded the data and we are fetching the data from the service, right? From the hard coded data we are fetching. So look, so what is our model class? Mobile.java, right? Mobile.java. We added some parameters. Actually, we will add it few more today. And we will add few more today. So the first one is mobile ID, right? Mobile name and the mobile price, right? Mobile price. And we can also add some more parameters, whether it is available or not, status, right? Available or not available. And LOB, some line of business, right? So line of business. So there are three line of business I added. There is a purpose actually. So one is like online, where the customer can go and buy it on online. And the next one is retail. So we, for example, some retail store, he will go to retail store and he buy over there, right? And we have some indirect, which means or some third-party franchise, right? Franchise customers, like they will take the franchise and they will sell it, right? So there are three types of businesses we have for our mobiles. One is the online. We go and log in into the online and buy it out, and we have retail. So retail store, right? Retail store, the customer go and buy. And the next one is indirect. So some kind of third-party franchise, right? So yeah. So that is what is line of business. Yeah. So let's look at the data. Anything else? Name, price, status, line of business, and where it got manufactured. Right. So country code. Right. Country code. But country code we don't store. We don't store in this table. It is a. We will fetch this information from country service. Right. Country service. So we will, or else we will have the country code. We will pass the country code to country service and get the country information. So let's add one more column. There is that. Yeah. So let's have one more column, country code, right? So this is going to be passed through. This is whatever the value get it from here, this column that is going to be input for country service. So you pass the country code to country service and you get the country service response. Right? So that's why that is the reason why we wrote a separate microservice for that, right? Yes. So these are the parameters. Let's see is there anything else, right? Country code and some date, right? Some publication date, some date, publication. These are the data we're gonna put it into our table. So anyway, mobile service right now no database integration, right? So let me open the workspace meanwhile, so you get better idea, right? So I don't know whether you completed that assignment or not. That time it was hard coded data, right? It was hard coded data, but in the real time it won't be hard coded data. We should get it from database. And you can ask me why we are adding all these things, right? Status, LOB, country code, because I will show some uh, one concept called a filter, right? To where the customer wants to see the mobiles like which are available on online with the price 10,000, right? Some status available, and where the some customers may come like they want to get online and retail, right? Some filtering concept I want to implement. Okay, so for that purpose we are inserting these many columns and this much data, right? In real time it will be little more complicated than this. Yeah.
Usually in Flipkart and all also, right? We have filters. The same, right? Really, you are saying?
Yes, it's the same thing. Same kind of filter we will implement by using Spring Data JPA and in this project itself, in the mobile service itself. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's open microservice. Okay. Yeah. So just open your microservice workspace also. If you would have completed that assignment, you would have remembered that, right? So service data is hard coded. Okay. So this is what is our end. So this is our model in Java. So when it goes to database, right, how it looks like, how we can design our database, right? So it's going to be mobile as a table name, mobile as table name. So it's going to have, so this is mobile.java. So table name is going to be mobile, table name is going to be mobile. And we have ID property in the Java, right? ID property in the Java. In database, it's going to be column ID, right? Column ID. So we have name property in the Java. So in database, it's going to be okay, name. So let me put this data below. Okay. So we have price column, right? Price property. So it's going to be price column. We have status property, right? So here we will define enums, right? Enums. So no strings. It's like enums. LOB also enum, right? Enum is a static, right? Constant in the Java. So when you decided that that value will never change, then we will use enums, right? Yeah, so status also enum. So uh, it's going to be a varchar or some database to database the things will change, right? So from database to database the things will change. In MySQL, the enums will be stored in a number format. Okay, numbers, the enums will be stored in numbers format. Okay, let me delete some spaces here. So we have LOB. It's going to be LOB column. Again, it's a column name LOB. The data type is number. Okay. Even status also, it's going to be a column name is status. The country code. If you would like to change, you would like to give some different name, you can, no problem. Okay. Let's create the simulation and just following the same naming convention. So, for example, if country code we have, then you can say country icon code in the database. Yes, it is possible. Icon is not allowed in Java, but in the database it is allowed. So we will use country icon code. And here also it's like publication icon date. If you would like to use that publication. Okay. So when you look at this, right? So there is some kind of similarity we can identify, right? So a Java class and a class in the Java and a table in the database. So there is some kind of similarity, right? So one class can be considered a table in the database, right or wrong? A Java mobile.java, I can say that okay, this is equivalent to this mobile.java is equivalent to mobile table in the database. right? Some kind of similarity we have, right? Except the data types and all. But look at right. So you create one table, and you create one table. So you create one Java in the Java. So Java, right? So it's a one Java file. So one Java file is equivalent to a table in the database, right? And we have properties. We have properties in the Java file. So those can be considered as the columns in the table, right? Columns. So I could say Java file or dot class. That's your name. Right? So dot class file is equivalent to table, right? And the properties, right? Properties in the table is equivalent to column, okay? Column, and you create each, like you can create object for dot class file, right? So you can create any number of objects for one class, right? Any number of objects for one class. So the same way you can insert any number of rows, in the table. So one object, right? Object in the Java can be considered like equivalent to a row in the database, right? So some kind of simulation we have between database and the Java, right? So the entire JPA will work on this concept only, right? So JPA means Java Persistence APA, and we call that as a relational model mapping, right? So relational model mapping. Okay, so relational means table, relational means table, okay, relational means table, model means the Java file. So this is how these two are going to be mapping, right? So Hibernate, IBTs, JPA, Spring Data JPA, all these technologies are going to be,
ORM.
yeah, ORM. ORM is actually
Object, yeah, object.
object relational mapping, right? So those are ORM technologies, right? So those are ORM technologies. So all these things are going to be working on this core concept, right? So Java file, how it's going to be equivalent to a table, table in the database, like using this approach, right? One data class file is equivalent to a table. So you can, the data class file is going to have multiple properties. So again, table is going to have multiple columns. So how many number of objects you would like to create it for the table, you can. And if some columns, like some properties you set the data and some properties you don't set the data, so the default value is null. So the same concept in the table also. For some columns you insert the data and some columns you don't insert the data. So each object is going to be a row in the database, right? So this is what is the object relational mapping. Object relational mapping, ORM, right? So the entire core behind this API is this ORM. Okay, Hibernate we call as ORM technology. IBT, right? ORM technology. JPA is ORM technology. There are so many out there in the market. I'm just telling you that which the most commonly used things, right? The most commonly used naming convention. And okay, so this is what is meant to be ORM, object relational mapping. So this is object, right? So this is object, and this is relational, right? This is relational. So how they're gonna map, right? So that is what is meant to be ORM. So the complete JPA is built on top of ORM only. So there is no ORM, there is no JPA, there is no Hibernate. Okay. So secret behind this JPA, Hibernate, or IBTs, right? So this ORM uh, design on. Okay. And what is the difference between JPA and Hibernate, right? JPA and Hibernate, like so JPA is a specification from Java, right? It's actually a specification. So Hibernate is a implementation for JPA, right? Hibernate is implementation. So like the Hibernate, there are so many ORM technologies are there, like IBTs, right? So one of the famous is like IBTs. There are some other things, right? So JPA is a specification. So they never talk about implementation. It's a specification, but most of the times we do use Hibernate because Hibernate has more features than JPA. Right? JPA say that just if JPA is specifying 10%, Hibernate is going to provide 50%. Like our Lord Hanuma, right? So Rama asked to go and inquire about Sita. He finished up half of the Lanka, right? So same kind of. Okay. Yes. So Hibernate is implementation for JPA. JPA is like specification, right? Okay, so with this we are done with the theory. Let's jump into the real time implementation. How we are going to just do the fetching the data, creating the data, reading the data, right? So those things we will try. But again, one more thing is Spring Data JPA is a separate project. Okay, like our Spring MVC Spring Core, right? Spring MVC Spring Core like that. Spring Data JPA is a separate project. You can run this project without Spring Boot also, right? Without Spring Boot also. Till now, whatever we learned, all those things can be run without Spring Boot, right? So we learn Spring Core. Yes, we can run with the main method, but there you need to create your own application context, right? Application context equal to new class path XML application context or new annotation application context, right? So that part you have to write. Okay, this is a Spring certification question. When you create application context by yourself, if you are running a main method application as a Spring native, then you will create, right? So that is what certification level question. Okay, yes. So if you are using Spring Boot, then you no need to create an application. Just do add boot. It's like a booted, right? So you no need to do any application creation. So Spring Boot will create one for you. You can use it. If it is a native Spring Core application, then native Spring Core application, then you have to create it by yours.
Context.
Okay. Yeah, so we also learned the Spring MVC, right? Spring MVC. Yes, we started with servlet, then we jumped into Spring MVC. We saw web.xml file configuration, and we saw web application initialization configuration. But you can do that with Spring Boot also. The kind of benefit what you're gonna get, you don't need to do any configuration, right? So without Spring Boot, with Spring Boot you can run MVC, but without Spring Boot it is little hectic process, right? Hectic process. You need to do some configuration. There is some external configuration required, right? So, but but it's recommended to run with Spring Boot. That's what we are doing, right? Spring JDBC also, no exception. Everything, every module we're gonna learn, they can run without Spring Boot, right? Without Spring Boot, like it's like the Spring Boot is new to market, right? So they introduced later, right? So it's which is very recent, like some 5-6 years before only it got introduced. But it's almost like more than 15 years the Spring in the market, right? So the Spring is in the market like more than 15 years. So the Spring Boot got introduced around 7 to 8 years before. So these all modules can run without Spring Boot. But if you use Spring Boot, it is easy to develop the things, right? It is easy and it is going to be fast. The development is fast, and you can focus on the business logic. So that is the reason why people start everything with the boot, right? It's everything with the boot. Yeah, you're gonna mix. It's like a salt, right? So boot is like a kind of salt. Every curry we'll put that, right? We'll apply in every curry, right? Yes.
Karampur.
So yeah, the spices kind of thing. So it is good because every project learn with Spring Boot only. Even Spring itself is specifying going forward. If any project you're gonna create in Spring, it's going to be a Spring Boot project. It's going to be a Spring Boot project. As a developer, or a user of that Spring, you need to focus on the business logic instead of doing the configuration. But it's good to know what is the configuration boot is to, right? Any configuration issue come in, then you should be in a position to solve it. Okay. So no exception for data JPA also, right? So you can run without boot. We can run without boot, with boot. There is no difference. With boot, without boot you can run, but without boot you need to do some configuration. So can you tell me without boot in JDBC what configuration we did? Without, I'm talking about without. Without boot, we wrote some code extra. What is that?
No data source and all we wrote, right? To
Hmm.
create a data source.
Yes, we need to create the data source.
Data source and mapping beans.
You
Like
need
if
to,
you want to convert
you need to load the JDBC. You need to create
template,
JDBC
yeah,
template, and you
bean.
need to, yes, you need to load the data source
Date
properties, right? Yes, the data source properties from properties file.
properties file.
Yes,
Here in boot it will automatically take from
nothing
web
required. Just to
application.
do the configuration, automatically
Auto
JDBC
wire.
is ready. Okay.
Just auto wire, right? We have
Yes.
to just to take auto wire automatically. No need to create bean and all.
Yes, if you every, I mean, When not specific to anybody, if you would have practiced, you would have been telling this. Okay, fine. So coming to data JPA, same thing. First we will see one example without boot. Without boot. Later we will implement the boot in our mobile service. Right? We have our mobile service. Yeah, as we already committed. Right? So mobile service is going to be data JPA. Data JPA. It's a long journey. Like it will take 4 or 5 days. This entire concept is going to take 4 or 5 days. It looks like 3 slides or 4 slides, but there is a huge content is available in this Spring data, right? So we will we will learn slowly, no rush. Okay, yes, that's why yesterday I spent extra time and little fast because I want to close Spring database yesterday itself. Okay, yes. So without Spring Boot, right? The very first thing what you have to do, right? Providing the data source properties. Yes, that you have to do. Each database you need to connect it. Spring doesn't know, right? So what is the URL? What is the password? What is the database schema names, right? That part you have to take. That part you have to take care. Okay. Yeah. But before that, yeah, I'm not mentioning in every module, right? But it is important, right? So in form.xml file, you need to add the dependency. That is common, right? That is common. That is common for all. Without Spring Boot, the big hectic is managing the dependencies. Managing the dependencies. So that is one of the biggest. I mean, this is one of the biggest benefit of Spring Boot, right? Auto configure of or auto managing the dependencies. So if it is a Spring Boot, only one dependency we need to add, right? Only one dependency we need to add. That is data JPA starter, right? Just you add one dependency. But when it is coming to without boot, you need to add so many jars. You need to add so many jars. It's really a big hectic, right? Remembering all those jar files names, whatever required, and remembering those versions and are really a nightmare, right? So that is the reason why everybody is preferring using Spring Boot, right? So for our idea purpose only, we are learning this, right? We are not going to use in the production or anywhere in your company also. If you are going to write any project, Spring project, it's supposed to be good. If somebody trying to create any project without Spring Boot, you just beat him. Okay, just beat him like anything, right? So supposed to be boot. That is what is the specification from. For our idea purpose only, we are creating. Okay, let's go and see what are all the dependencies we need to add. Okay, there is an already written project we have, right? We'll just go over it. Later we will implement the same concept in our mobile service with Spring Boot, right? With Spring Boot. So let's open the pom.xml file. Okay, so we need to add context. We need to add Spring Data JPA, right? So without Spring Boot, no parent, without Spring Boot. So here we need to mention, take care about versions. So coming to Spring, it is a 5.0.2. Coming to Spring Data JPA, it's 2.0.0. And internally, we would like to use Hibernate, right? Implementation. JPA is the specification. I already told, right? JPA is the specification. So the implementation is Hibernate. So we need to add Hibernate libraries, and we would like to use MySQL, right? MySQL connector. So we would like to connect to the same database, MySQL database only. So we need to add the MySQL jar. For sure, we need to add in Spring Boot also. When whatever the database you are going to connect, that corresponding jar has to be added, no exception. And we will be using on top of, we will be using some project Lambda. Yesterday we were discussing, right? No setters, no getters, right? No new operator. Going to be builder API and auto generated setters and getters by the project Lambda. Okay, so these many things you need to remember. If it is Spring application, it's going to be a simple Spring Data JPA data, Spring Data JPA. Anyway, with the latest version of Spring, the amount of like the number of dependencies we are adding are almost got reduced, right? It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dependencies we added, right? It looks like we added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if you go to effective form, you see more, right? So uh, context 1, JPA 2, Hibernate 3, SQL 4, Project Lambda 5, right? So there are some other jars will automatically add it. Okay, so let me open the Maven dependencies section. It's not actually 5. There are more, right? So you see, right? Expression we didn't mention, JCL we didn't mention, core, bean, COP, right? All these part of context. We added only one dependency. So this is this feature with Spring 5. From Spring 5, native Spring also you add one library that interrelated the libraries dependencies will be resolved, right? AOP, beans, core, JCL, expression, all these are the interdependencies to context. If you just add the context, all these beans will be added, all these jars will be added automatically to your project. So data JPA we added, it internally fetches ORM, right? ORM, Spring JDBC, commons, transaction, aspect J, SLF4J, right? So these will be added. Hibernate we added, then it internally has Hibernate core, JBoss, Hibernate JPA, Java Assist, Antler, JBoss, right? So Jandex, right, and classmate, right? All these jars are automatically added. So by Hibernate, we added MySQL and now. So even though it looks like 5 we added, but more in number at runtime. But in Spring Boot we will add one. It adds like 20, 30 plus, right? So Spring Boot is much powerful than this. So it's okay, fine. So this is what is the dependency management we have to do in the form.xml file. Let's go to the properties file. Again, it's the same properties, right? So username, URL, password. No need to be an application.properties because we will load this properties file as an explicit configuration, right? Not Spring Boot application. So it is your responsibility to load the application details and create the data source, right? There is a huge configuration we will be doing without Spring Boot for data JPL,
So this is native Spring Data, right? This is
Yeah,
this project, right?
yeah. I told a couple of times without Spring Boot, right? Native one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So application.java, it's your responsibility to load the config properties and creating the data source. If it is Spring JDBC, we will create JDBC template, but here it is JDBC data JPA, then we will create a different structure. So we create local container entity manager factory. This is from JPA transaction, and we will set some Hibernate properties, right? Hibernate. So this entire this entire code, right? These three beans for JPA configuration. So you need to create local container entity manager factory bean. Anyway, if it is Spring Boot also, it is going to be the same bean, but instead of we are creating, Spring will take care of it. Instead of we are creating, Spring will take care of it, right? So next one is transaction manager is going to be taken care by JPA transaction manager. And if it is a properties, right, some Hibernate configuration, right? We will discuss what is this DDL auto and all. For now, show SQL means the query will be printed on the console. Format SQL means it will be printing on the formatted manner. One very important thing which we need to configure is dialect, right? So dialect. So how the JPA is going to generate database dependent queries by using this dialect. Dialect plays very important role in ORM. Okay, so dialect plays very important role. So for each and every database there is a separate dialect will be available. Based on some version also we will have multiple dialects, like MySQL there are multiple versions, so you may have multiple dialects. For Oracle we have multiple versions, so you may have multiple dialects, right? So but how exactly JPA or ORM technology is going to generate database dependent queries is just because of this dialect, right? So just because of this dialect. So there are so many dialects are written, right? So there are so many dialects are already written. So let me open few of them, right? So let me show. Let's open this. See, MySQL itself there are four, right? 55, 57, 5. So let's go to that package, right? So MySQL we have. Let's go to Oracle. Let's so DBT. How many we have? So DB2 29, 2, 24, 23, 22, 2390. I don't know what is the meaning. Two, 20, 200, 2400. Right. So for DB2 itself, they have multiple. Let's check for Oracle. Like we have Oracle dialect, that is for older versions. We have 9A, 9, 8I, 12C, 10G, right? So there are so many Oracle versions are available. So for each and every version, there is a separate dialect written. And Postgres, how many we have? 81, 82, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 9. some default support available, right? PostgreSQL. So this dialect is very, very, very important. So just because of this dialect only, our data JPA or ORM technology is going to generate database dependency query, right? So database dependency query. We don't write query, but the query will be generated because SQL understand only query, right? SQL can understand only query. So either we write it to the query or somebody write it. The query has to be sent it to the SQL. If without query, you can't do anything in the SQL, right? But we don't write the query, right? This ORM technology will generate the query for us, right? This ORM technology will generate the query for us. So ORM technology is generating the query just because of dialect. If there is no dialect, then no ORM technology. It's like kind of heart, right? Like for human, how the heart is, like that it is, right? So the dialect also kind of like heart to the ORM technology, right? So this configuration you need to take care, right? So this configuration you need to take care. So you need to create some transaction manager, you need to create some entity manager, you need to create some, you need to set some properties, especially the dialect, okay? But with the latest version of Spring Boot, if you go to Spring Boot, the dialect also will be automatically picking, right? The based on the jar version we are using, the dialect will automatically pick, but it's good to set some dialect, okay? Yeah, so show SQL to print the query which is generated by the dialect. Format SQL to print the query in the formatted manner, right? User readable, more readable. So dialect is a major concept, This one particular property we will discuss later, right? HPM to DDL auto, we will discuss later some point of time. Once we jump into microservices, that time I will tell you what is the use of that property, why we use it. Okay. Okay, so some properties you need to send. Then next thing is you need to write some repository, right? So you need to write some repository. How to write the repository in Spring Data JPA? Pretty easy. Even a kid in Java also can do it, right? The who know Java, the basics, he can write a repository. Public no class, it's interface, right? Public interface for which model you want to write. You want to connect it to mobile, then it's going to be mobile repository, right? Then you have to name it as mobile repository. It's good to give the naming library. It's no need to be mobile repository. You can give some any name, but let's give a meaningful repository, right? So it's going to be the entity, mobile entity table, mobile table. So for we would like to perform operations on mobile table. That's why we are giving name like mobile repository, right? So this is interface, and our third repository, JPA repository, is also interface. So you should do extends JPA repository, right? Extends JPA repository or CRUD repository. Okay, CRUD repository. Just open, close, curly brace. Open, close, curly brace. You no need to add any methods, right? Or there are so many methods are already there in the JPA. Let's start with the default. Like going forward, we will go for the next level, right? We will add some methods. We will write some queries. There are queries like object-oriented queries and native queries, named queries, right? So specifications, there is a big story is there. Just start with the basic, right? So for now, don't write any methods, right? For now, don't write any methods. Okay, and annotate this interface with et repository, right? So this can be written by a baby also, right? A Java baby also can return this. Okay, an interface which extends JPA repository and annotate that with the repository. That's if we are done with writing that entire repository implementation. No method you no need to write. There are so many methods out there. You just call. JPA itself will generate the query for you, right? JPA itself will generate the query. But here, this diamond, right? Here it's very important thing. So for which POJO, which entity class we are writing, right? Which entity class we are writing. So we are going to write this for mobile, right? Mobile, that is the first parameter. And the second parameter is what is the primary key of that mobile? What is the type of primary key? Whether it is an integer, whether it is a string, whether it is a long, right? So that particular type we need to specify. I think we are going with the integer, right? So integer. So let's give integer, right? So this is how your mobile repository should look like, right? So
But
public.
Sunil, what is the use, like what it will do with that integer thing only? Like we have to pass integer only. I was just trying to find out online also, but didn't get proper answer.
Why it is integer? That's what you are
Yeah,
questioning.
yeah, means integer or any other data type, like what we can pass anything, right? Like but
I got
any data type.
I got the question. I will tell you. Okay, I will answer. Yeah. So why it has to be integer, right? It is not supposed to be integer. It can be anything. Okay. It is supposed to be actually a serializable. It is actually serializable. Okay. Why we put integer long? Because all those are our implement serializable, right? So integer is
Uh,
always serializable.
wrapper classes, yeah.
But why we put integer there? Why we put string? When to put integer? For example, let's understand this. When to put integer? When to put long? When to put string? Right? So whenever you are writing your mobile.java, right? So whenever you are writing your model class, so you have to do some configuration, right? So it won't be directly understandable, right? Our JPA can't understand mobile directly. So how it has to be written? So there are few annotations you have to add. There are a couple of them are mandatory, right? There are a couple of them are mandatory. What are all those mandatory annotations, right? These annotations, right? This is going to be mapped over there, right? So that serializable part, the serializable, I will put it for now question mark. I'll put this as question mark. You itself, you will answer what is the value we are going to put it over there on that question mark. Okay. So now look at this mobile, right? Mobile cannot be written like it's not going to be read by default. You need to do some configuration. So the first important configuration is at entity, right? So we should make this class as an entity. So you should annotate with at entity. So all these are part of Java X API. So you just do import dot some Java X dot some entity, okay, entity, but it's from Java library, right? Entity. So we are making this class as an entity class. So that is very important, right? This is very important. And next, one more mandatory annotation is ID. ID, right? At ID. Without ID, you can't proceed. You will get an exception. Okay. ID annotation has to be used for primary key. What is the primary key for your table, right? So that you need to specify. So for mobile, primary key is int, right? Int. So we already, I don't know whether we discussed or not. In the model class, it is always recommended to use integer, right? It is always recommended to integer, not int. Why we will discuss later. Okay. Always recommended to use wrapper classes. Never use primitive variables here. No int. It is supposed to be integer. No long. It's supposed to be long but L capital, right? So
So sorry, like anywhere or like any Pojo, we should always use wrapper.
entity.
Okay, on okay, entity.
Entity. Okay, only the classes which are annotated with entity, they never supposed to use primitives. They're supposed to use wrapper classes. I will tell you why. Okay. I hope you know the difference.
Yeah, I got
No,
serialization.
not specific to you. I'm just asking everybody. Okay. Yeah. So so it's like, okay, primitive means let me quickly put it, right? So yeah, so primitive means int, wrapper means integer, right? So primitive means long, L small, okay, L small, and it's going to be wrapper means L capital, long, right? And we have uh, char, right? Char, C small. All these are small in case, right? Primitives are all are small in case, and wrappers are classes. They always starts with capital, right? So all these are classes, character, I believe, right? Character. So we have boolean b small, so which holds true, false, and the corresponding wrapper is like B capital, right? Boolean, right? B capital. So we have double, right? We have double, and um, we have float, right? Same thing. So we have float, right? So F capital, float. So in primitive, it's going to be F capital, right? So we have double, D small. So in primitive, we have double, D capital, right? So why we have like this? Because the default value for these primitives are zero, right? For example, int zero, long zero, char, right? Char, it's a single quote, right? Single quote. Boolean is false, float is 0.0, double is 0.0, right? So something like that, right? So something like that. But We want an equivalent object type, right? So Java is a pure object oriented. Everything supposed to be an object, right? Everything is supposed to be an object. So when you would like to convert these primitives into objects, right? So then we will use these primitive variables, right? Especially where we don't want the default value 0, right? Here is the case where we don't want the default value 0, because in the database 0 has some value, right? So if you go to table, okay, table, so the default value for column is null, not 0, right? Default value for column is null, not 0, right? So that is the reason why in our entity also we need a default value null, not 0 or not boolean false, right? Not float 0.0. If you use primitive value, then the default value for instance variables, day one we discussed this, right? Default value for instance variable is 0. That is not the case. That won't work for database. We want a null. That's why we use wrappers instead of primitives, right? So whenever you are writing your entity model classes, it's supposed to be a pure wrapper. Okay. Yeah. Why I'm telling this, Anshuman? Because some may be knowing it, right? Some new to Java, so that's why I am covering this. Okay. Yeah.
Sure, it's good.
My taste is everybody, right? Everybody should understand. That's why. Yeah. Okay. So int means primitive. Integer means wrapper. Int means primitive. Integer means wrapper, right? Wrapper. Okay. I still not answered Anshuman question. I will come back. Okay. Yeah. Wrapper. Okay. So make sure you are writing like this. Okay. And now let's come back. Okay. We will write. We understood why to use primitives. Why to use wrappers instead of primitives. Right. Now let's come back. And you can give like mobile ID, right? So ID is or is mobile ID. Okay. So without ID, it is not possible to write any entity class. ID is a mandatory, right? Primary key is a mandatory for table. So ID is a mandatory. Without primary key or without ID, you can't write entity class, right? So these two are minimum annotations which are required, right? We can add some other annotations like at table, but this becomes optional if table name and entity name are same. If you just give name equals to mobile, right? Name equals to mobile, and so it's not required to use, because by default class name is going to be table name. If it is not class name, some mobile underscore details, then you should use table, right? So it becomes optional. Okay, it becomes optional. So and each property is a column. So if column name and mobile name or property name both are same, using at column is optional, right? Using at column is optional. We no need to use when both the column name and property name are same. If these two are different, then you should use it, right? For example, in database we have mobile hyphen ID, right? Mobile hyphen ID, then you should use column. If it is a mobile ID only, or if the column is ID, right? If the database column also ID, then at column is optional, right? So some configuration is optional, some configuration is mandatory. So the mandatory configuration is at entity and at ID. Now let's go back to the repository. That right now the question mark, right? What to keep in the question mark? Whatever the type your ID has, right? That is going to be the next parameter. For example, sometimes you put string as a primary key, then this question mark is going to be string. Sometimes you use long, right? So then your primary key is going to be long. So this is what is your primary key placeholder over there, right? So whatever the data type you are annotating in your model class ID, that is going to be the second parameter. So in our case, what is our ID data type? It is integer, so we will use integer here. Okay, if it is string, if your model ID type is string, then you have to put string here. If your model type ID type is long, then you have to put long here. If your model type is double, then it's supposed to be double here. Okay. Is it clear, Anshuman? I hope I answered your question.
Yes, understood.
Okay. So it's, yeah.
So anyways, in one entity class, there can be only one ID, right? Then why can't they understand it on their own? Why are they expecting us to send this?
Because
data type of the ID column.
there are multiple values are allowed, right? It can be a string, it can be an integer, right? It can be a double. Sometimes you write your own customized data type, right? It can be some mobile has some other type also. It can be user defined type, right? Some other type. So they don't want to take that hectic, right? So it is your responsibility to put what type is your ID, right? Some composite keys we have. Primary keys can be a composite key, right? Combination of two columns, right? So that time the complexity will come into.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
I think what Vijay is asking, why they are not like taking that via at the rate ID tag itself. Unnecessarily, we are
Yeah,
mentioning
that,
it.
No, that
no,
is.
no. When it is a composite key, that time we have to mention, right? So that could be the reason.
Yeah, so it's like little complicated, unwantedly this JPA repository has to scan all your entities and it has to map, right? It is unwanted burden to them. So that's why they just simply asking developer to do, right? It's just typing, right? If how
Yeah,
to type it mobile, we just need to specify what is the primary key type.
okay, okay.
Okay. Yeah, that is the specification you have to do, no other go. Okay, it's a specification you need to do. Okay. Yeah, so the remaining columns you can do it, right? So private string, some mobile name, some description, some long double or inter double price or long price, right? Some status type. We go to the real code, right? So whatever the mock code we wrote it here, right? Some pseudo code we write, right? So now let's go and compare with our real code whether it's meeting, right? Our pseudo code is going to meet our real code standards or not. But anyway, before going there, any other questions? Abhi, Anshu, Chintesh, Jupudi, Sharath, Venkat, Vijay.
Yes, Sunil, I have one doubt. So here for one class, I mean one table only we can create a class or what entity. If I say if I have this master child kind of table, that time how do we create the entity?
What is the type? You mean the aggregation?
Master child, like
Hmm.
we may have a master table. For that master table, we may have a details table, right? Like the ID of the primary key of the master table will be the foreign key of the child table. Means one entry in master will have multiple entries in child.
Yeah. So
How,
we have combinations concept in the ORM, right? For example, if you have a table called account, right? If you have a table called account, you have a table called order. So one account can have multiple orders, and this account ID will be used in that, right? So this account.java, right? Account.java will have a property type order, right? Order, and one account have multiple, right? So you do create list of order and you annotate that with one to many. Okay, so there are some aggregations we have like 4 types: one to many, okay, one to many, and many to many, yeah, one to one, and many to one. They just reverse to one to many. Okay, so if you have one-to-one relationship, right? For example, account and user table you have. So one user will have one account, so it's a one-to-one relationship, right? So it looks something like this, right? So private user. So on top of this, you'll put one to. Okay, one account can have multiple orders, so it's going to be one to one, right? One to many, right? So when we go for some other combination, many to many, right? So uh, one order can have multiple products, and the same product can present in multiple orders, so it's a many to many relationship. So that is what is aggregations concept. Okay, so ORM has all solutions for all these problems. So if some of these problems are not going to be solved, right? Sometimes, okay, we are not able to fix these issues, and we need to go and write some query. If you really feel no, I can't learn all these things, I already know query. So I will write a query, then you can write a query, no problem, right? You just put define like this, and you want to join some other table with this table, then you can write a query, direct query, and that query will be executed. That is also possible. Okay. Yes. Okay. So we have this aggregations concept, so we can use that, but that is later, right? So let's start with the basic model. First of all, let's start with the basic model. Okay. Do you get Vijay?
Yeah, Sunil, maybe once you get into detail,
Hmm.
I'll ask you more.
Okay. But anyway, in our microservice, we don't do that. We will play with one table only, mostly.
Okay.
Yeah, we will not, I mean, I don't want to do complications. So, but I will show one example. We will create some tables and we will like check out all this one to many. But anyway, we will go to the query, right? Query will solve that all these problems, right? The complications can be solved by using query. Okay. Now let's go to the repository and check whether we properly created the repository or not, right? So let's go to city repository. See, it's an interface, right? You are able to see the I here. So yeah, so it's going to be interface, city repository, extends. Okay, some more some more hierarchy I'm creating, right? So it can be a direct CRUD repository also. Okay, it can be a direct CRUD repository or JPA repository, anything is fine. Okay, CRUD repository or JPA repository. The first property is going to be first generic type is going to be the model entity. Entity is a city, and the second generic type is a long. Right? First generic type is city, and the second generic type is long. So let's go to city. You see that at entity data is for Lombat, right? Data is for Lombat. So it's not related to data JPA. We don't want to write setters, getters, that we are using it to data. But the mandatory annotation is entity, and we are not using table because the Java file name and the table name both are same. So it's going to be table, right? So it's going to be table, and here you need to give. Is it imported? All right. Let's import. Yeah, table. So as I already told, we have Hibernate annotations. We have Java X annotation. Don't use Hibernate annotations. If you use Hibernate annotations, your application becomes Hibernate dependent, right? That is not good practice. We always recommend you to use Java X persistence, those are JP annotations, right? So just you can give some name also, right? So some name to your table. When the table is name is Java file name, then this is optional, right? Yes. And we already discussed at ID is mandatory. At ID mandatory. Without ID you cannot do. If you start, you will get uh, Spring will give left and right, right? So Spring won't allow. ID is mandatory. ID is mandatory. And what strategy you gonna follow, right? You want to. There are so many ways we can generate this ID. You can programmatically generate, or you can give the chance to the database to generate, right? In Oracle we call it as SQL.
Sequence.
Uh,
Sequence.
yeah, sequence. Sorry, yeah, sequence. And if it is in the MySQL, it is identity, right? You just expand, you get auto. I mean, intelligent, right? Auto. It's like automatically generated by the ORM provider, right? It can be if it is Hibernate, then Hibernate, or some other person will take care of it. Identity is it's for MySQL, right? Sequence is for Oracle. So some of the people, I mean, some of the databases support identity, some of the databases support sequence, right? Oracle doesn't support identity. Oracle supports sequence. MySQL supports identity. MySQL doesn't support sequence, right? So based on the database, you need to select this, right? So let's select generation type that identity, and you see I put at column. It's optional, right? Optional, but still let it keep like more readability. So these are the columns, right? These are the columns, and we are not changing. We are not doing any change, right? So it's like as is. Name column is name. Country code is column country code. District in our Java is table. It's a district. Column name is district. Population is population, right? So yeah. So no setters getters. But if you do just Control Shift O, right, or else Control O, you see all the getters setters are automatically generated. It automatically generated by data annotations, right? So our code looks small. It has good readability, right? Good readability. We don't want to write too much junk code, right? So the boilerplate code. So the IT standards, what's the boilerplate code, right? Setters, getters, we call it as a boilerplate code. So we don't need to write too much boilerplate code, right? Let's write less code, and the required functionality let it get generated by metadata, right? So yes. So with this, we are done with the model class. Okay. So if it is a native application, so you need to load the properties, you need to create the data source, you need to create entity manager, transaction manager, some Hibernate configuration, right? Hibernate configuration, and you need to write the repository. Okay, and you need to, in your repository, you have to write in Spring Boot also, right? So the only particular part is going to be reduced by Spring Boot is this entire configuration won't be there, and you no need to create data source. You no need to create data source. You no need to read properties also. It will be automatically uh, uh, it's automatically going to read the Spring Boot, and Spring Boot create data source, Spring Boot create entity manager, Spring Boot create transaction manager. It sets some default Hibernate properties. Everything is going to be automatically configured by Spring Boot. And if you would like to override anything, just put a property in the application properties. So that's it. What we put. Yeah. So in Spring Native, Spring Data JPA, right? Without Spring Boot. So it's going to be some more configuration you have to do. Enable JPA repository, right? Enable JPA repository. This annotation also you need to add, and you need to enable transaction management, right? JPA repository and transaction management. Where is our interfaces are present, right? Interfaces are in Java, sorry, COM ELN Spring Data repository. So in that folder we have this, right? We have these annotations, we have these interfaces written, right? The repository interfaces are available in the package. So that package you need to keep, right? It's so explicitly you need to enable repository. But if it is Spring Boot, you no need to do. The JPA repositories will automatically enabled by the Spring Boot, right? So this is what we need to do. But Spring Boot looks comfortable, comparatively. It's very less code, right? So once we jump into mobile service, we will see, right? So but before that, let's quickly run this code and see one example, right? So where is the main method? Yeah, here is the main method. Yeah, here without Spring Boot, you need to create an application context, and you need to pass that configuration file, get the repository, right? Get the repository, and just do some code, right? So let's load all cities information, right? Let's load all cities information. So what we should do? Okay. Let's load all cities information. So there are no methods are written in the repository, right? There are no methods. Okay, let's delete all these methods. Yeah, for now let's delete all the methods. Okay. Let's go with the default structure, right? Yes. Okay. So now let's think that there are no methods are written, right? Not, I mean, it's empty. There are no methods, right? Not to think, that is a reality. No methods, right? Yeah. Now let's go to main method. Main method, create the context and load the configuration file. If you would like to load all cities, right? All cities, you just to report dot get. Okay, just do a control space. There is some intelligence showing, right? So there are so many methods are there, right? There are so many methods are there. So where are these methods? These methods are from, see, JPA repository has some methods, CRUD repository has some methods, query by example executor. So there are so many methods are already written in Spring Data JPA. We just call that method. For example, if you want to load all methods, right, all cities, you can call find all. So what it's going to return? It's going to return a list of cities, right? List of cities. Okay. So you just mark the cities. Okay, and you call cities dot for each, right? Cities dot for each. Okay, and just print each city information on the console, right? System out colon print there, right? So automatically the cities information is going to be fetching from the database and printing here, right? So let's run the Java application. You can see Hibernate MySQL dialect. A connection is establishing. It is creating some data source. You see that there is a query will automatically generated by Hibernate, right? Hibernate, which is, okay, let's use generic terminology, JPA, right? So JPA. So select star. It's not star, it's like all columns, ID, country code, district, name, population, from city, And we got all cities information, and we are printing on the console, right? So like this, there are so many methods are there. For example, I want to fetch the particular city information, right? One particular city information. But before that, let's remove this duplicate code, right? We are assigning it and calling the for each method. Let's not do that. Let's do it in a single line, right? Yes, right. So let's do all these things in a single line. Anyway, if I run the code, it's going to be the same output. The last two lines are equivalent to this one line. You still get the same output. Okay, yes. Now let's fetch only one particular city information, right? So it's going to be repo, right? Repo dot find by ID, right? Find by ID and pass the ID. So let's pass 1000. Yes, 1000, right? 1001. You get one particular city information, right? I think it is a long type. Just put L. Okay, now that error will come, and then just we got one particular city information. Let's print on the console, right? So let's do sysout, right? Sysout, and that corresponding method called repo.find ID. So one particular city information will be fetching from the database, and will be printing it on the console. Now you see, select query with where condition. And that is going to have a placeholder. Type mismatch, cannot convert from city, integer, long. Okay, I think let me go to the class. See, there is some conflict. So we specified here long, but city has integer, right? City has integer. See the blender here it is. Till now I was saying don't use wrappers, primitives, and I'm using primitive, right? So it's a mistake. Let's change this to integer, and see here the problem. The ID is the type integer, and repository we marked it as long, right? So it's throwing an exception, right? So ID type mismatch, right? ID. So provided ID of the wrong type, class has integer, right? But we provided long, right? Class has integer, we provided long. So in class the ID is of type integer, right? So class the ID type is integer, but in the repository class we provided long type, right? So do you get what is the issue? What is the problem? Why this exception is coming?
The data type mismatch.
Entity and repository
Yes.
data type, ID data type mismatch.
Yeah. So Abhi, Chintesh, Jupudi, everybody is able to follow, right?
Sunil, here also we need to change, right, from long to integer.
Yeah, change. I will change. But before that, I'm asking why we got the exception.
Not matching.
Yes, it's yeah. Now let's change this to integer. Okay, and run the code, and you get the output. Right. So here, don't pass the long type. Let's pass the integer. Is everybody active? Abhi, I'm not sure. For Abhi, it's too late. I think. Yeah. See,
Sunil,
where city?
One question. In that JPA repository, if I pass simply object and in ID, if I give it a string, will that work? If I give the parent class in the JPA repository, will that work?
Sorry, what is your question?
Here in this JPA repository, we are passing it as integer, right? Instead of integer, if I simply pass it as object, will that work?
Actually, this is a serializable type.
Okay.
Does object is serializable type? Right?
No,
It won't work. Right? So it's supposed to be, the second parameter is supposed to be.
No, object is not.
Yeah, object is not serializable. It's supposed
so
to be.
Second should be serializable. Okay.
Vijay, one more interview question.
Okay, so what's up, guys? Yeah, it's already 10, right? So we can stop for today. But I could see there is some pin drop silence. Like very few people are interacting. Is it because of weekend mode or like for Abhi it's like late night or something like that? If you ask more questions, then it will be more.
Yeah, we can have break tomorrow.
Okay.
No, I would suggest
Now
to take,
Venkat is speaking.
I would suggest to take a break because that's what I'm.
So Hari, what you
Yeah.
say? Abhi,